So there was a young sister that was working on some papers and she fell asleep in the common area at Yale University. And lo and behold, you had a Caucasian female that decides to call the police because a black girl is sleeping. Let's roll that clip.
This morning, for the first time on GMA, Yale student Lolade Ciambola is speaking out about that viral confrontation she had with police in her dorm.
I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It has to be a joke, you know?
This white student called police on Ciambola, who fell asleep while writing a paper in her dorm's common area.
I have every right to call the police. You cannot sleep in that room.
4 officers respond to that call.
Once we verify that you're a resident here, then we'll be on our way.
I used the key to show that that was my apartment. I felt like that should have been enough for them. I don't think that if I looked differently, that it would have gone any further than that.
Ciambola tells police the same woman called police on her friend, a fellow student, back in March. That student says when he asked her for directions, she responded saying this.
You're making me uncomfortable. I don't feel safe around you. You're an intruder. You need to get out. You need to leave. You need to get out.
The university president responded to the incident saying, we must neither condone nor excuse racism, prejudice, or discrimination at Yale.
Someone who uses the police in the way that Sarah used the police should be held accountable. There needs to be punitive measures for people who, act out of racially motivated, bias.
Frustration is growing in the black community. The headline on one website, add taking a nap in your dorm common room to the list of things you can't do while black. The Facebook video has gotten more than 1.5 million views.
None of this is really new. None of it is shocking. Every day someone is treated with racial bias. Every day people are being approached by the police, receiving ridiculous treatment from the police.
Let me say something to my African brothers and sisters who come over to the country as immigrants, or maybe some of your children have been born here. There are some issues at times culturally with African Americans and people from the continent of Africa. And, our situation, unfortunately, we have been under siege for over 500 years with white supremacist terrorism, and it has affected us in every which way, unfortunately. Now, you on the continent, or maybe you in the Caribbean, you really, even though you have been subjected to it, it haven't been in the area like we have been subjected to it, to bust up our families, to cause the mass evil propaganda against us. So some of you, and I've interviewed a lot of you to say this, come over with attitudes based upon that evil propaganda about us here. And then, some, not all, will say, well, why we can come over here and scale up, but African Americans been here and they can't scale up. Like I said, it's totally 2 different situations. A lot of you come from 2-parent households, which I'm happy that you are coming from 2-parent households. The African family have been really attacked in the continent. So that's a great thing. Like I said, I'm not taking against that. But what I'm saying is when you come into this land, when you step foot here, we all are the same. Rest assured we are. Now they will play that game with you and they will say, oh, you're not like them. You're African, you're different. And they'll try to separate you from us. But with that Make America Great Again crowd who is raising up the attacks on black people, the Make America Great Again crowd that's raising the attacks on black people nationwide. This is why you were swatted, sister. This is why you were swatted. She was hoping the police come beat you up. She was hoping the police would probably kill you because she can't stand to see a black woman at Yale University. She can't stand that. She feel that you as a black woman don't belong at that university. How dare to see these blacks at Ivy League schools? Because seeing blacks at Ivy League schools really doesn't work out too well with the blacks have low IQ thing, right? Doesn't work out too well because everything they put out, it is lies. I told y'all, if they're breathing, they're lying most of the time. Because if you try to factually go with what they're saying, it doesn't add up. It don't. So this is why the police was called on you, and she would do it again because they would not create a consequence for them calling the police for false things. They're not creating a consequence. These cops will go out there 1,000 times at the call of these Caucasians. But I guarantee you, blacks will start calling police on them. They'll create a new law to start finding people for calling the police for false things or using 911 that's not an emergency. That's why I said on Twitter the other day, maybe black people should start calling on them like they call on us. Oh, hey, they got a white woman sleeping in the university. I don't know what she's doing. I'm scared. They probably wouldn't even come. It's like, she's sleeping. Well, sir, I mean, that's not an emergency, is it? I mean, that's probably how they react if they know you're a black person. I mean, black people should start doing that, calling the police on them for every 5 minutes. Oh, they're walking around. I don't know what he's doing. He look like he on opioids. That's what they do with us. Maybe we should do the same thing to them. And let them see how it feel every 5 minutes you getting the police called on you. See, the thing is, the black people, we don't do what they do. It's easy to pick up a phone and call. We actually see them on the street with opioids, drugged out, meth. We see them. But we just walking down the street or we jogging down the street trying to exercise and oh, he must be running from a robbery. But white guys run all the time with jogging and they don't nobody calling the police on them saying they running from a robbery when they clearly look like they're exercising. This will continue to keep going on all over this country. Can't go eat a barbecue, can't sleep in school, can't do anything. And then once again, when black people say we need to separate ourselves from this group of people because they won't leave us alone. Well, Martin Luther King, he would turn over his grave what black people's turned into. Would you stop mentioning Martin Luther King? Y'all put a bullet in that man's neck. It wasn't black people. That peaceful man that you quote, y'all put a bullet in his neck. You took him away from his wife. You took him away from his children at 39 years old. Black people didn't do that. That peaceful man. Maybe he would be here today to instruct us what we need to do. But you took him out. So stop mentioning that man's name. Because Dr. King, before he died, talked more like I'm talking right now. But you don't play that Dr. King. When he realized that I had integrated my people into a burning building. And he lamented thinking about that. Because ever since that integration that happened, what has it really gotten black people? Look what's happening to black people now. Look at what they're doing in Congress. They're trying to roll back everything that they ever done to protect against discrimination on black people. Auto lending, banking, or the loans. They're trying to turn it all back. Well, they can really discriminate. So please stop mentioning Dr. King's name, please. Matter of fact, if you mention Dr. King's name in that area, talking about he would be ashamed of you, I'm going to block you. I'm straight telling you, I'm going to block you if I catch it. Y'all have no right to mention that brother's name. And made his wife a widow. And his children grew up without a father. Trying to shame black people into a submission because of using his name. Don't use that brother's name. That brother's name is too great for you to be using it in that manner. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this story at Yale. This is going to keep happening. I keep telling black people, we have to move different. We have to stop being so trusting. These people are literally picking on us, bullying, anything that you could think about. They keep doing this. But a lot of you keep going back to stores where they're at. A lot of you keep trusting them. A lot of you keep doing this. I don't know how much more they got to show you. My thing is I base things on the actions of people. I don't base anything on the words of anyone.